Movement number 4. Dragon seeks path. Hee-yah! Dragon whips his tail. Good morning, everyone. This is Stone Gasman, live from New York City. And this morning we are going to be doing an audio commentary for Bruce Lee's only full directorial effort called The Way of the Dragon, released in Hong Kong in 1972, and it eventually became a hit overseas and internationally. And I'll be perfectly honest with all of you. Aside from Enter the Dragon, I have not seen any of Bruce Lee's other movies. I know the titles of some of them. And obviously, aside from Enter the Dragon, I should have seen more films of his by now. But that's part of the reason why I started this whole series in the first place of like 50th anniversary commentaries, because I want to check out films that were, considered, back then, the best that was out there. Honestly, I mean, Enter the Dragon is so damn good. I mean, it is a masterpiece of like martial arts entertainment that it's really surprising I never really got around to watching Bruce Lee's other movies. In fact, quite frankly, I'm a bit ashamed of myself that I haven't done that. I've seen more of the movies that Robert Klaus directed. And, I've even watched other martial arts films, but not Bruce Lee. In fact, I've probably seen more of Bruce Lee as Kato in The Green Hornet, which made him a star in the 1960s. But so I'm very glad I was finally able to watch and discover The Way of the Dragon, which is, here again, his only directorial movie, only movie he directed, because there was one that he didn't finish it because he died so young. We'll talk about that. And it wasn't eventually released until 1978, I believe. Yeah. But anyway, I am paused on the Golden Harvest logo for Way of the Dragon. And if you're watching this on Amazon Prime like me, be sure to jump up to the 50-second mark because there's a bunch of logos that come beforehand. And I like to start where the film would have started in 72. I don't need any more corporate logos. So, yeah. So go to the 50-second mark of Way of the Dragon if you're watching this on Prime like me. And let's go ahead and get started. Countdown on 3, 2, 1, and play. Yeah, I really love this Golden Harvest logo. I think it's really 70s groovy, and they're now known as Orange Sky Golden Harvest. And aside from the Bruce Lee movies and of course a lot of the Jackie Chan movies, which they eventually became most well known for, Bruce Lee in The Way of the Dragon. And yeah, so Golden Harvest was known under that title from 1970 to 2009. Film production distribution exhibition company based in Hong Kong, and it dominated Hong Kong cinema box office sales from the 70s to the 80s. Now, the only other thing I'll read from this in terms of Golden Harvest is they succeeded by taking a different approach from the highly centralized Shaw Brothers model. Golden Harvest contracted with independent producers and gave talent more generous pay and greater creative freedom. Some filmmakers and actors from Shaw Brothers defected, but what really put the company on the map was a 1971 deal with soon-to-be martial arts star Bruce Lee, superstar, with the film The Big Boss, after he had turned down the low-paying standard contract offered him by the Shaws. Golden Harvest films with Lee were the first Hong Kong films to reach a large worldwide audience. And indeed, I like the credits where he not only mentions the other cast members, but also where they were in terms of their belts, their titles when it comes to karate and martial arts and everything. And I'm not an expert. I do apologize. I am not an expert in any type of martial arts or kung fu or karate. I just not. I mean, yeah. And I just finished Cobra Kai today, and I fucking love that show. I think it's one of the best television shows out there. But I'm sure there are other, there are other movies and shows that I could watch that would give me a greater understanding and appreciation for all the differences between the three and all that. And it's not like I haven't seen my fair share of martial arts films. I mean, like I said, I mentioned I watched another Robert Klaus film called Black Belt Jones with Jim Kelly and what's her name from Live and Let Die, Gloria Hendry, I believe. But I like this opening, and I'll get to that in a second. But I have seen other, like American Ninja. I've seen a few movies like that. It's obviously not my favorite subgenre, but at the same time, after watching Way of the Dragon, it's one of those things where, well, now I want to watch more movies like this. I'm almost seriously considering getting that Criterion set with all the Bruce Lee, or rather I think the early Bruce Lee movies. That set when it came out was super expensive. And because I hadn't really watched any of Bruce Lee's other films, aside from Enter the Dragon, of course, that's the thing, is that I think Enter the Dragon might be the most popular martial arts movie of all time. I'm pretty certain about that. I'm pretty sure it's like how North by Northwest is considered by some as the quintessential action comedy thriller, from Hitchcock. Well, there are some people that consider this the quintessential martial arts movie. And it's amazing watching this 50 years later, how it comes off in the first half. It comes off rather a little silly, a little playful, very amusing. And then when it hits the second act and the all the action kicks in, then it becomes a wild ride to the very end. And there's so many things I liked about Way of the Dragon. I thought the running time was perfect. I thought it had just the appropriate amount of action, comedy. And I think that Bruce Lee, considering the fact this is his first film, pulls off the task of making a vehicle for himself where, and it's really, look, and the movie is meant to, of course, showcase his superstar skills. And they are fucking amazing. Like I said, Enter the Dragon, I knew that they were amazing. But after watching this and, knowing that he, in fact, directed this movie, and it became an international hit, I'm just like, why have I not seen this before? That's how it came off as. Want to say hi to Rob Gasper out in the chat. How you doing tonight, sir? Have you seen Way of the Dragon before? I'd really like to know what you think, as we're coming up here on the 6-minute mark. Now, I forgot to mention in the beginning that opening shot where it had the woman just staring at Bruce Lee. And I thought to myself, well, there's a 1972 Karen right there for that was a total Karen. That was a total Karen. It's like, okay, Bruce Lee, I can imagine him as the director. Okay, just stare at me. Like, just stare at me. That was his direction, and it's awesome. and like, these little things with the waitress, how, they're trying to communicate, and like he keeps saying he wants eggs, and then he looks at the menu and instead he gets soups. Look, Bruce Lee had a sense of humor, man. He knew he almost wanted to make situations funny by just having people react to him, and just whatever his decision may be. I'm just going to do this, I'm going to do that. And look, just give me a reaction. I don't care what it is. It could be silly. It could be weird. It could be bizarre. Is this guy on drugs? Whatever the reaction may be. And no, I'm not suggesting that. But you know what I'm saying is that it's almost like when he directed this movie that he just told the cast, just react to stuff that I do. Just, and that's not to put down his direction in any way. It really isn't. See, for the first 10 minutes, I was thinking, is this a comedy? Did Bruce Lee make a comedy in disguise here? Like, is this meant to be like? Because I mean, I don't remember Enter the Dragon having a lot of humor. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I mean, I just remember it as a brilliant action thriller, and that great Warner Brothers vibe. When it came to that film, and we will do Enter the Dragon next year for sure. Stand by for next year. We'll be doing the 50th anniversary commentary for Enter the Dragon. We still don't know what exactly his character is doing here, which, but then of course he notices a very foxy, very foxy lady. I really like this woman right here. But just real quick, before we talk about the actors in some detail, I wanted to mention that Golden Harvest was responsible for. I mean, they released like 3 films in 1970, and then in 71 they released 10, including The Big Boss, which made Bruce Lee a star. And then in 72 they did Fist of Fury with Bruce Lee, as well as Way of the Dragon. And then in 73, Game of Death. That was the one. Yeah, Game of Death was the other film that Bruce Lee directed, but he never finished it because he had died tragically very young. So after Game of Death, but he had finished Enter the Dragon, which is awesome. And believe me, we are forever grateful, I think, that he did finish Enter the Dragon. But Game of Death, like I said, I've never seen that. I've never seen Fist of Fury. I've never seen the other Bruce Lee films. I remember the VHS boxes very well, though. I will say that. And Golden Harvest, they also did The Boys in Company C, directed by Sidney J. Furie, whom I will be doing 2 commentaries on, and I will be reading his book here very soon, just to throw that out there. They also released Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In fact, they were responsible for the first movie, the second movie, but not the third movie. The third movie was in other hands. They're also responsible for the Cannonball Run, that fondly remembered Burt Reynolds movie, but they also did Megaforce, which starring Barry Bostwick, which was considered one of the worst films of that time. High Road to China with Tom Selleck, which I actually think is a little underrated. It's not great, but if you like Tom Selleck, go ahead. And they also put out another Selleck movie called Lassiter, which is even less known than High Road to China. What else? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Iceman Cometh. Police Story, yeah, they did all the Police Story. Pretty much a lot of almost every Jackie Chan movie came from Golden Harvest. So, I mean, that's the thing, is that you probably saw the Golden Harvest logo before every Jackie Chan movie and the first 2 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. I think that's when I was introduced to them. Police Story 4, but now they are known as Orange Sky Golden Harvest. That's what they're known as now. They have cinemas not only in Hong Kong, but also in mainland China, Taiwan, Singapore. Most of these are joint ventures. Golden Village, now fully operated by Orange Sky Golden Harvest, was a former joint venture with Village Roadshow, responsible for the operation of Gold Class Cinemas and Asia's first multiplex. In Malaysia, the group was instrumental in the formation of the country's 2 largest cinema chains, Golden Screen Cinemas, a joint venture with Malaysia's PBP Group, who bought out Golden Harvest stake for full ownership, and TGV Cinemas, a joint venture with Tanjong of Malaysia and Village Roadshow of Australia, the former having bought out the remaining stakes of full ownership. The company has recently acquired Warner Village in Taiwan. So, like I said, this all happened in the past 13 years because they were known as Golden Harvest all the way pretty much through the 70s, 80s, and 1990s, and most of the 2000s. And it was in 2009 when they finally became Orange Sky. Uh, so so here we are. We're coming to her apartment where okay, she mentioned a syndicate. There's always a syndicate in these martial arts movies. I know. I haven't seen a lot of them, and I know I should maintain that, maintain that stance because I don't know. But it just seems like in a lot of these action movies, there's always a crime syndicate. Yeah, somebody always drops the word syndicate, I think, in a lot of action movies, not just martial arts movies. It's just, it seems to be like par for the course for a lot of them. But this gorgeous, gorgeous woman right here, this is Nora Mao. I believe it's pronounced Mao. I mean, I don't want to pronounce it Meow. Miaao. So Nora Mao. I'm going to say that. Best known for appearing in many kung fu films in the 1970s, opposite Hong Kong action movie stars such as Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. She was born in British Hong Kong, attended St. Teresa's School, Kowloon. Kowloon is on the opposite side of Hong Kong. I've actually been there, believe it or not. She was contracted to Golden Harvest and spent her time making films in Hong Kong and in Taiwan, where she starred in several romance movies. Oh, definitely. I ought to check those out now. She worked well with Ko Chun Hisung and was paired with him in several movies. She played opposite both Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, appeared in all three of Bruce Lee's Hong Kong films, became the only actress to share on-screen kiss with the legendary Lee in Fist of Fury. That's right. She doesn't kiss him here in Way of the Dragon. And I don't believe she's in Enter the Dragon either. But apparently she was in all those three early Bruce Lee movies: The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, and Way of the Dragon. She retired from acting in the late 1980s, and during the 1990s hosted an event television show for the CFMT channel in Toronto. Nora currently lives in Toronto and hosts a radio program, Coffee Talk, on CCBC Radio. Well, that is wonderful. That is wonderful. So, and so obviously she's still with us, which is wonderful. So yeah, very, very beautiful woman, very beautiful. But there's another woman in this movie that pretty much makes just a cameo appearance, and we're going to see her very, very soon. When I first saw this, I was like, what? This actually happens? This actually happens in this movie. See, and that's what I'm saying, is that I was almost convinced at that point that Bruce Lee almost made this as just a joke. Just, okay. The first half literally plays like a comedy. It really does. If you get lost, just show that card to the taxi driver. Yep. Taxi. And, it should be noted, I'm watching, and I'm sure there are a lot of different prints for this because I believe on Pluto TV, I believe they have a dubbed version of this movie. I ended up watching it on Amazon Prime with the English subtitles, but there is English still in the movie. There's still English, actual English being spoken by several people without dubbing. So, and I don't believe, well, I'm not going to say the superstar that appears at the end of this movie just yet, but let's just say I don't believe he has a single word of dialogue. I don't think he utters one word in the script. But like I said, we'll get to him when we get to him. But he makes his film debut in this movie, and it's glorious. It is absolutely a glorious, glorious climax and ending. So this is all set in Rome. Yeah. Let me see something here. So, but let me go back because I'm ready to talk about the other actress in this movie that appears for like 5 seconds. But I forgot that we have a few more scenes here. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and just dive into Bruce Lee, the legendary Bruce Lee. Yes. November 27th, 1940. Passed away on July 20th, 1973, at the age of 32. He was only 32 when he died, which is incredibly young. And under the most bizarre and eerie of circumstances, because, okay, so the story is that he basically took a regular pain reliever, aspirin, whatever the case may be. He fell asleep and never woke up. That is the story behind that. But and I want to get the death out of the way first, because here again, I mean, with a lot of these individuals, we try to celebrate their life and not necessarily their death. Now, yes, his death was under the most mysterious of circumstances. And a lot of people, including Unsolved Mysteries, they formulated a theory that it was because of an ancient Chinese curse. And, they said things like, well, like that Bruce Lee had brought somebody into his home that said it was like possessed by evil spirits that may cause great harm to him. Stories like him putting like a clock or a weather meter or something like on top of the house, and it gets blown away in a storm, like literally a day before he dies. And of course his widow, Linda Lee Caldwell, she dismissed all that and said, the truth of the matter is that I believe the Lee family has been blessed, not cursed. And I love how she says that. And it's kind of in Bruce Lee's case, here again, it was a freak circumstance, and I don't want to believe it was a curse either. But let me get this woman out of the way real quick before we continue with Bruce Lee. This is the only other lead female in the movie. Her name is Melissa Longo, and she's about to make a very eyebrow raising re-entrance into this room that Bruce Lee is in. But she was born in Venice and moved to Rome, where she started a career as a model. She entered the Miss Italia beauty contest, winning the Miss Cinema and the Miss Lazio titles. After appearing in a number of commercials, she made her acting debut in '68 in the Antonio Margheriti giallo film The Young, the Evil, and the Savage. And you're going to see why she was considered a model. And I like how Lee frames this. We see her in the mirror, and that's it. I mean, we see like only her left breast, and then he kind of pans off, and we see the full reveal for like a second, and then he just bolts. Now, look, I didn't have any real reaction to this aside from the fact, like, really, this actually happened. This woman who just walked up to him out of the blue and is like, "Oh yeah, I want to fuck that." Look, I don't know. I mean, I guess Bruce Lee is kind of like playing around and saying, that he has this kind of magnetism, but. But at the same time, what I also find interesting is that the other lead female is not really a love interest. This is not one of those movies where, he kisses the girl at the end. That's not what this movie is about. And I actually found that a bit refreshing. But yeah, that's all you're going to see of Melissa Longo, the Italian model. But just real quick, she was also in movies like The Ribald Decameron, Sicilian Connection, Naughty Nun, Rico the Mean Machine, War Goddess, aka the Bare-Breasted Warriors, Super Stooges versus the Wonder Woman, Black Emanuelle, White Fang and the Hunter, Salon Kitty, Fraulein Kitty, El Macho, Star Odyssey, Guinan King of the Barbarians, and her last film was in 1990 called A Cat in the Brain. So for those of you who want to check out the wonderful filmography of the admittedly very gorgeous Melissa Longo. There you go. There you go. Now, I gotta say, whenever Bruce Lee like formulates a giant smile in this movie, I love it. I love it. He really does feel like he's living it up every second of the day, every moment of the day. And I'm talking about both the actor and the character. He's on top of the world right now. He's making his first role. He looks almost like a teenager. Seriously, man. I mean, I know he was probably about 30 when he did this, but he looks a lot younger. I mean, at least to me, he does look a lot younger here. But so yeah, going back to Bruce Lee here. So his 5 feature-length Hong Kong martial arts films include The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, Way of the Dragon, Enter the Dragon, and Game of Death. So those are basically the big 5. And let's see, should we? I think we'll just go here. Yeah, from 66 to 67, Lee played the role of Kato alongside the title character played by Van Williams in the TV series produced and narrated by William Dozier, who, of course, also produced Batman. Now, and Bruce Lee as Kato actually appeared alongside the dynamic duo in 2 episodes, basically a Green Hornet with Batman mashup. Yeah, imagine that. And it actually went around pretty well. I mean, and it was really one of the first time that I've never seen an episode of the Green Hornet. I must admit, I should check it out to see if it's on like YouTube or something. But yeah, that was really how American audiences got to know Bruce Lee, was because of playing Kato alongside the Green Hornet, played by Van Williams. Introduced the adult Bruce Lee to an American audience, became the first popular American show presenting Asian-style martial arts. The show's director wanted Lee to fight in the typical American style, using fists and punches. As a professional martial artist, Lee refused, insisting that he should fight in the style of his expertise. At first, Lee moved so fast that his movements could not be caught on film, so he had to slow them down for the camera. He had to slow down. Bruce, come on, you got to slow down, man. You're kicking way too fast here. Oh, Jamie Hart, so lovely to see you. I hope you're doing so well. Used to watch the Green Hornet. I loved it. I got to check it out sometime. I mean, I'm sure there's only like 22 episodes, but I got to check it out sometime and see if it's on YouTube or anywhere else. But after filming 1 season of Green Hornet, Lee found himself out of work and opened up the Jun Fang Gung Fu Institute. The controversial match with Wong Jackman influenced Lee's philosophy about martial arts. Lee concluded that the fight had lasted too long and that he had failed to live up to his potential using the Wing Chun techniques. He took the view that traditional martial arts techniques were too rigid and formalized to be practical in scenarios of chaotic street fighting. Lee decided to develop a system with an emphasis on, quote, practicality, flexibility, speed, and efficiency. He started to use different methods of training, such as weight training for strength, running for endurance, stretching for flexibility, and many others which he constantly adapted, including fencing and basic boxing techniques. Lee emphasized what he called, quote, the style of no style. And this consisted of getting rid of the formalized approach, which Lee claimed was indicative of traditional styles. Lee felt that even in the system he now called Jun Fan Gung Fu was too restrictive, and it eventually evolved into a philosophy in martial art he would come to call Jeet Kune Do, or the way of the intercepting fist. They ought to make a movie about Bruce Lee called Jeet Kune Do. I think that would be awesome. Now, I know that they made a movie in the 1990s, which by hell or high water, I'm going to watch it before we do Enter the Dragon next year. But yeah, it's called Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, and it stars Jason Scott Lee, no relation, as Bruce Lee. And I remember the advertisements for it when I was a kid in 93. I never saw it. I want to see that eventually because it actually got I think a fairly nice reception from critics at the time. But unfortunately, I've never seen it. At the time, two of Lee's martial arts students were Hollywood scriptwriter Sterling Silliphant and actor James Coburn. Oh yeah, we did that rodeo with him movie with him a few months ago. In 1969, the three worked on a script for a film called The Silent Flute and went together on a location hunt to India. The project was not realized at the time, but the 1978 film Circle of Iron, starring David Carradine, was based on the same plot. In 2010, producer Paul Maslansky, The Lad Company, he produced Police Academy 1 and 2. Paul Maslansky, and he also produced Return to Oz, was reported to have planned and received funding for a film based on the original script for The Silent Flute. In 1969, Lee made a brief appearance in the Silliphant-penned film Marlowe, where he played a hoodlum hired to intimidate private detective Philip Marlowe, played by James Garner, who uses his martial arts abilities to commit acts of vandalization to intimidate Marlowe. The same year, he was credited as the karate advisor in The Wrecking Crew, the fourth installment of the Matt Helm comedy spy film starring Dean Martin. Also that year, Lee acted in one episode of Here Comes the Brides and Blondie. In 1970, he was responsible for fight choreography for A Walk in the Spring Rain, starring Ingrid Bergman and Anthony Quinn, again written by Silliphant. Like I said, I wouldn't have imagined a movie with Bruce Lee, Ingrid Bergman, and Anthony Quinn would exist. But yeah, that's. Let me see what was the reaction to this. Critical reception was largely negative, and the film proved to be a commercial failure. A book, Fiction into Film, A Walk in the Spring Rain, was published in 1970 by the University of Tennessee Press. It included Maddox's novel, Silliphant's screenplay, and commentary by Neil D. Isaacs on, quote, the fashioning of the script and various stages of production, unquote, according to the October 1st Variety. Absolutely fascinating. Okay. In 1971, Lee appeared in 4 episodes of the television series Longstreet, written by Silliphant, played Lee Sung, the martial arts instructor of the title character Mike Longstreet, played by James Franciscus, and important aspects of his martial arts philosophy were written into the script. According to statements made by Lee and also by Linda Lee Cadwell, I think I said Caldwell, and now I'm embarrassed, but look, it's Cadwell, not Caldwell. After Lee's death in 1971, Lee pitched a television series of his tentatively titled The Warrior, discussions of which were also confirmed by Warner Brothers. During a December 9th, 1971 television interview on The Pierre Burton Show, Lee stated that both Paramount and Warner Brothers wanted him to be, quote, to be in a modernized type of a thing, and that they think the Western idea is out, whereas I want to do the Western. According to Cadwell, however, Lee's concept was retooled and renamed Kung Fu, but Warner Brothers gave Lee no credit. Warner Brothers states that they had for some time been developing an identical concept. I'm not gonna challenge that. Created by 2 writers and producers, Ed Spielman and Edward Friedlander. In 1969, it's stated too by Lee's biographer Matthew Polly. According to the sources, the reason Lee was not cast was because he had a thick accent. But Fred Weintraub attributes that to his ethnicity. The role of the Shaolin monk in the Wild West was eventually awarded to the non-martial artist David Carradine. In Pierre Burton Show interview, Lee stated that he understood Warner Brothers' attitudes towards casting in the series. Quote, they think that business-wise it is a risk. I don't blame them. If the situation were reversed and an American star were to come to Hong Kong and I was the man with the money, I would have my own concerns as to whether the acceptance would be there, unquote. Producer Fred Weintraub had advised Lee to return to Hong Kong, make a feature film, which he could showcase to executives in Hollywood. Not happy with his supporting roles in the U.S., Lee returned to Hong Kong, unaware that the Green Hornet had played to success in Hong Kong and was unofficially referred to as, quote, the Kato Show. I love that. I think I'd rather watch the Kato show. He was surprised to be recognized as the star of the show. After negotiating with both Shaw Brothers Studios, Blade Runner, Shaw Brothers Studios, and Golden Harvest, Lee signed a film contract to star in 2 films produced by Golden Harvest. Lee played his leading role in The Big Boss, which proved to be an enormous box office success across Asia and catapulted him into stardom. He soon followed up with Fist of Fury, Bruce Lee film #2, which broke the box office record set previously by The Big Boss. Having finished his initial 2-year contract, Lee negotiated a new deal with Golden Harvest, later formed his own company, Concord Production Incorporated, with Chow. For his 3rd film, Way of the Dragon, which we are watching, and we are, just to give a timestamp real quick to anybody coming in, we are approaching the 34-minute mark. Go ahead and jump to the 34-minute mark. For his 3rd film, Way of the Dragon, he was given complete control of the film's production as the writer, director, star, and choreographer of the fight scenes. Like that. Dragon whips its tail. Damn! I love that. They all look in unison down there. She's like, whoa. No way. I got this. I got this. I got this, mother. I'm serious. I honestly thought, is Bruce Lee making a comedy here? Like, intentionally. And he just sits on him. That's awesome. Like, how many times does that happen in an action movie? He's like, yeah, you're down. You want to be next? Oh, okay. You want to be next? Ooh! Ah! Yeah. What a great way to introduce Bruce Lee's martial arts skills to the world. I mean, that's the thing. Enter the Dragon is undeniably a masterpiece, but this is the film, here again, this is the only film in which Bruce Lee directed every single second. And like I said, it really does have a style all its own. There's charm to spare, there's laughs to spare, and damn, the kicks. Oh, the kicks are brutal, man. I mean, we don't see a lot of blood. We don't get gory here, which I kind of appreciate. But it's just a fun ride, man. It's like a lot of Jackie Chan movies. I mean, I remember when I saw Rumble in the Bronx, for the very first time in the theaters. Excuse me. I remember when I saw Rumble in the Bronx, and the plot was tacky. I mean, and it was very predictable, but at the same time, it's all about Jackie Chan. It was all about Jackie Chan and his skills being showcased, and that's why it became a big hit in the US. And suddenly, Jackie Chan had an international audience. And I think my favorite, I saw a lot of the Jackie Chan movies. I think my favorite, and I'm just going off on a tangent here, I think my favorite Jackie Chan movie was Operation Condor. Technically, it was Armor of God 2 when it was released in Hong Kong. But yeah, I think that's my favorite of all the Jackie Chan movies. And I do like the Rush Hour movies, even though the director is a piece of shit. But, I do like those movies too. But I mean, it's kind of sad. I've seen a lot of Jackie Chan movies, and yet I've not seen Bruce Lee's other films. This is, like I said, this is my second Bruce Lee movie. And next year I'll be doing Enter the Dragon. But I also got to be sure to do the others probably in the next couple of years. I could probably do a double feature one night of 2 of Bruce's other movies. And of course, as a lot of people know, his son was Brandon Lee, who of course died on the set of The Crow, the brilliant 1994 film. Which I didn't get a chance to see in the theater. I wish I did, even though I probably would have been compelled to go to the nearest bar right afterward. I mean, it's a great movie, and despite all the gloominess and all the violence, I mean, here again, gloomy and violent, but it's brilliant. And Brandon Lee is brilliant in it. And I probably would have said that had he not have died. I mean, he's that good in it. I mean, unforgettable, and just as unforgettable as Bruce Lee was in Enter the Dragon. I mean, yeah, that's what I should do. I should do like two of Bruce Lee's or movies, and then do the fifth Bruce Lee movie with Enter the Dragon. I think that's what I'm probably going to do. Unreal tragedy for a father and son. Yeah, Brandon was indeed amazing. I mean, I can't think of another instance where father and son were both superstars. Well, Brandon Lee wasn't quite a superstar. I think The Crow would have made him a superstar, but yeah, I mean, just that they were so young and just under the most eerie and unusual of circumstances. And I haven't delved too much into Brandon's death on The Crow, even though that was part of the Unsolved Mysteries segment where, they were really taking a hard examination of Brandon Lee's death. And it was basically just negligence in terms of gun laws and in terms of, gun laws on the set, basically, because, basically they converted, basically to save money on bullets and everything. They decided to convert. They took the gunpowder. You know what? I forget now. But they tried to modify bullets, and unfortunately, when they did several test shots, one of the bullets actually got lodged into the gun, and nobody noticed it. Nobody noticed it, and it was like it was waiting for Brandon Lee, which is horrifying to think. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but here again, I mean, that I think that I think, let me look at something real quick. Bruce Lee had 5 major films. I think Brandon Lee had 5 major films. Well, not major, but just 5 films. Period. I got to double check that. I have to double check that real quick. He was in actually kind of 7 films, but like, but only 5 of them are like actually highlighted. Legacy of Rage, 1986, Laser Mission, 1989, Showdown in Little Tokyo, 1991, Rapid Fire, 1992, and ultimately The Crow in 1994. But it also said that he also had an uncredited gangster bit in Crime Killer in 1985 and Man Waiting in Line to Club in Sex Långa och Videovald. It's a Swedish film. I'm compelled to say, forget those 2 movies ever existed and just say that Brandon Lee did 5 films just like his father, Bruce, did 5 movies. But wow. Just wow. Yeah, Brandon was only 5 years old when his father died. Yeah. Now, as far as I wanted to read this passage too on his martial arts and philosophy. Now, Lee was trained from a young age by his father, Bruce, in martial arts. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's Brandon Lee. Yeah, like I said, we have to go back to Bruce Lee now. Okay. Striking, grappling, street fighting. Okay. Lee's first introduction to martial arts was through his father, from whom he learned the fundamentals of Wu-style Tai Chi Chuan. In his teens, Lee became involved in Hong Kong gang conflicts, which led to frequent street fights. The largest influence on Lee's martial arts development was his study of Wing Chun. Lee was 16 years old under the Wing Chun teacher Yip Man between 1956 and 57. After losing to rival gang members, Yip's regular classes generally consisted of the forms practice, Che Sao, sticking hands drills, wooden dummy techniques, and free sparring. There was no set pattern to the classes. Other Chinese martial artist style Lee trained in were Northern Praying Mantis, Southern Praying Mantis, Eagle Claw. Wait a minute, isn't that in Cobra Kai? Eagle Claw isn't that Johnny's like, was it Eagle Claw? I think it was. Tan Tui, Law Han, Mizangi, Wakang, Monkey, Southern Dragon, Fujian White Crane, Choi Li Foot, Hungar, Choigar, Footgar, Mokgar, Yao Kung Moon, Ligar, and Laogar. Lee Okay, Lee was also trained in boxing between 56 and 58 by brother Arnold, coach of St. Francis Xavier's College boxing team. Lee went on to win the Hong Kong Schools boxing tournament in 1958 while scoring knockdowns against previous champion Gary Elms in the final. After moving to the United States, Lee was heavily influenced by heavyweight boxing champion Muhammad Ali, whose footwork he studied and incorporated into his own style in the 1960s. Sorry, I thought about that Lad Company commentary I did with Muhammad Ali in it, where he's literally in it for just like 10 seconds, if that. You want to talk about wasting Muhammad Ali, and it's the Lad Company's worst film. It's called Doing Time, and basically it's a tax write-off movie where they were trying to do like with Police Academy, we made a comedy about the police, we'll make a comedy about prison. But it's one of the worst films of the 1980s, trust me. Anyway, Bruce Lee demonstrated his Jeet Kune Do martial arts at the Long Beach International Karate Championships in 64 and 68, with the latter having higher quality video footage available. Lee can be seen demonstrated quick eye strikes before his opponent can block, and demonstrating the 1-inch punch on several volunteers. He also demonstrates Chi Sao drills while blindfolded against an opponent, probing for weaknesses in his opponent while scoring with punches and takedowns. Lee can be seen implementing his Jeet Kune Do concept of economical motion, using Ali-inspired footwork to keep out of range while counterattacking with back fists and straight punches. He also halts attacks with stop-hit side kicks and quickly executes several sweeps and head kicks. The opponent repeatedly attempts to attack Lee, but is never able to connect with a clean hit. He once manages to come close with a spin kick, but Lee counters it. The footage was reviewed by Black Belt magazine in 1995, concluding that, quote, "The action is as fast and furious as in anything in Bruce Lee's films." It was at the 1964 championships that Lee first met Taekwondo master Jun Gu Ri. While Ri taught Lee the side kick in detail, Lee taught Ri the, quote, non-telegraphic punch. Ri learned what he calls acupunch from Lee and incorporated it into American Taekwondo. The acupunch is a rapid, fast punch that is very difficult to block based on human reaction time. Quote, "The idea is to finish the execution of the punch before the opponent can complete the brain-wrist communication." Lee also commonly used the oblique kick, made popular much later in mixed martial arts. It is called the Jeet Tek stop kick or intercepting kick in Jeet Kune Do. Lee favored cross-training between different fighting styles, had a particular interest in grappling. Lee trained with several judo practitioners in Seattle and California, among them Fred Sato, Jesse Glover, Taki Kimura, Hayward Nishukia, and Wally J., as well as Gene LaBelle. After befriending LaBelle on the set of The Green Hornet, Lee offered to teach him striking acts in exchange for being taught grappling techniques. LaBelle had also been taught catch wrestling by prestigious grapplers Lou Thies and Ed Lewis, and notable techniques of both judo and catch wrestling can be seen in Lee's Thai of Jeet Kune Do. According to Glover, Lee only found judo ineffective at the action of getting hold of the opponent. Excuse me. While in Seattle, Lee himself developed anti-grappling techniques against opponents trying to tackle him or take him to the ground. Glover also recalled Lee, quote, "definitely would not go to the ground if he had the opportunity to get you standing up." Nonetheless, Lee expressed to LaBelle a wish to integrate judo in his fighting style. Although Lee opined grappling was of little use on action choreography because it was not visually distinctive, he did showcase grappling moves in his own films, such as Way of the Dragon, where his character finishes his opponent. Again, I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to give it away just yet. And Enter the Dragon, whose prologue features Lee submitting his opponent, Sammo Hung, with an armbar. Lee was also influenced by the training routine of the great Gamma, an Indian Pakistani Pelwani wrestling champion known for his grappling strength. Lee incorporated Gamma's exercises into his own training routine. Now, we just passed the 48-minute mark. We just passed the 48-minute mark of The Way of the Dragon, where Bruce Lee, unfortunately, is now at gunpoint by the Syndicate. And and like I said, we're about to reach the halfway point of the movie, where the second act is almost wall to wall, or excuse me, the second half, not act, is basically wall to wall action. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of the first act is very light on action. I mean, we have a couple of little bits introducing Bruce Lee, and now he's just going to go all in. He's going to go all in on these guys eventually. We don't want to kill you. God, this guy is so annoying. He is just so seriously annoying. Gives him the plane ticket. Yeah, just go back to Hong Kong. That's all you need to do. This. Isn't that what? Didn't they try to do that in Rumble in the Bronx too? Try to send Jackie Chan back to Hong Kong? Well, I mean, I guess it's the easiest way to get rid of him. Hey, you want to live? Go home. We give you one chance to live. Just get the fuck out of here. Go the fuck home. God. All the bad people are Karens and Kens in this movie. Seriously, when that first scene started in Way of the Dragon and we saw that woman just staring at Bruce Lee like, oh no. No. Ooh. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, we're at the 50-minute mark. We just reached the halfway point, literally the halfway point, where Bruce Lee is going to go all out. And I love the fact that the plane ticket is still in his pocket. I love that. Like he looks like one of the nerds for Revenge of the Nerds. No, not really. And here again, I'm not mocking Bruce Lee at all. I love the guy. I love his fighting style. Love his martial arts. And here again, I'm ashamed of myself for not checking out his other films up until now. There you go. There he finally gets rid of it and started. That he takes his shirt off. He has to show those muscles. He has to show, hey, this is what you're up against right here. Oh, no problem. You just happen to have a second pair of nunchucks. And of course, we have Bruce Lee's very, very famous fighting, which includes his hi-ya. I can't recreate them, and I'm not even going to try. But that's what makes him distinctive among most fighters. I think it's just his way of his vocal delivery every time he gives a kick or a punch. There it is. Yeah, I love it. And it's like on point, on time every single time. It's seamless. It's absolutely seamless. As soon as you hear that strike with the nunchucks at the guy's face, that's when you hear him howl like that. And it's awesome. Oh, shit. Oh! Ouch! That shit would hurt. Yeah, I would never mess with a man with nunchucks. Never. We had some nunchucks in Cobra Kai recently. Yeah, seriously, just real quick. If you guys have not checked out Cobra Kai yet, one of the best shows of the 21st century. I can't emphasize that enough. I really cannot emphasize how much I adore Cobra Kai. That and Bates Motel. Those are my two favorite shows of the 21st century. Yeah, sorry, not Breaking Bad, not Sex in the City. No, Bates Motel and Cobra Kai. So there is a mixture of, American, European actors and Hong Kong actors. Very nice international flavor, I think, going on here, even though it's set in Rome. It's like, like they see one guy going down after the other, and they still are not willing to back down. I mean, hey, you got to give him credit for having balls. You got to give him credit for having balls. Yes, he's like a cobra about to strike. Seriously. Oh, that's glorious right there. A one of a kind superstar. I don't know if there will ever be another Bruce Lee. I mean, Jackie Chan is somebody entirely different. But Bruce Lee, man, he had something. He had that magic about him. I mean, that's the thing. Everything I just read about, everything that he learned, it's just like, holy fuck. Like he learned practically everything. I mean, I mean, that's the thing. He learned practically everything when it came to martial arts. He was indeed a master with a capital M. Maybe even all capitalized, let's put it that way. There was I know that there were several movies made recently, like maybe in the past 10 years that show, and there were a few of them. There were like two or three of them that showcased the man who taught Bruce Lee. I think It Man was one of them, and I reviewed one of them for the paper, but I don't remember the name of it. Yes. I love that. So he was so casual with those nunchucks around his neck. And they just hold their arms and look. It's like, ah. Come on, man. Get back. Just get back down here. Just get your balls back down here, man. Oh, let him know. If I see him here again, oh, he won't leave alive. He's like, he doesn't want to say all that. Like, the guy with the pink tie, man. He's just a crazy, crazy guy. He's a clown, basically. He really is just a clown. Colorful villains, very colorful villains in this movie. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I do like the set direction of the restaurant too. That's really really cool stuff. Yeah. No, they're just visitors. They're just visitors. Oh, welcome. Well, hey, welcome. Yeah, yeah. Look, the food has a real kick to it. Look at his smile. It's so infectious. Like he didn't mean it. It's like there were some criminals in just 5 seconds about to kill everybody. It's like customers. Yeah. Oh, this is great. This is just wonderful. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I always thought that one dude looked like Wolfman Jack. Yeah. Speaking of Wolfman Jack, of course, next year being 1973, I will be doing a commentary for American Graffiti. And I will probably even do the sequel, more American Graffiti, after I'm finished with the original. So I will do a commentary on that next year. I must emphasize that commentary will be dedicated to the memory of the late Gloria Katz, who I was lucky enough to interview along with her husband, Willard Hike, back when I wrote about a DVD called French Postcards, which is the movie they made in 1979 instead of More American Graffiti. So stand by for that in probably 6 months here. I can't believe it's October already. Can you believe that, guys? And like I said, pretty much all my films commentaries in October are going to be for the horror films of 1972. The one exception, well, actually, there's like 2 or 3 exceptions. Like I am going to be doing Lady Sings the Blues, which is the biopic on why is her name escaping me? But it's, Diana Ross plays the singer. But so I am going to be doing that. And then at the end of the month on Halloween, we'll be doing 2 horror commentaries. One from 1972. I haven't decided yet. But we're also going to be doing a 100th anniversary commentary for Haxan, Witchcraft Through the Ages, the very infamous 1922 Danish silent horror film, which is still, in my opinion, scary as hell to this very day. But anyway, enough of the October commentaries coming up. Let's continue with Way of the Dragon. We are at the 59-minute mark. We have gotten to the 59-minute mark of The Way of the Dragon. Hope you're all enjoying the movie and my commentary. All right. Street fighting. Another major influence on Lee was Hong Kong's street fighting culture in the form of rooftop fights. In the mid-20th century, soaring crime in Hong Kong, combined with limited Hong Kong police manpower, led to many young Hong Kongers learning martial arts for self-defense. Around the 1960s, there were about 400 martial arts schools in Hong Kong teaching their own distinctive styles of martial arts. In Hong Kong's street fighting culture, there emerged a rooftop fight scene in the 1950s and 60s where gangs from rival martial arts schools challenged each other to bare-knuckle fights on Hong Kong's rooftops in order to avoid crackdowns by British colonial authorities. Lee frequently participated in these Hong Kong rooftop fights and combined different techniques from different martial arts schools into his own hybrid martial arts style. When Lee returned to Hong Kong in the 1970s, his reputation as, quote, the fastest fist in the East routinely led to locals challenging him to street fights. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you seriously imagine that? People just coming up to you on the streets like, let's do a street fight, man. Let's go. Let's go. What the fuck? Like, seriously? This is Kato, man. What the fuck? You're not going to fight Kato. That is just unbelievable. This guy lived a life that is just unbelievable. But yeah, at 172 centimeters or 5'8" and weighing 141 pounds at the time, Lee was renowned for his physical fitness and vigor, achieved by using a dedicated fitness regimen to become as strong as possible. After his match with Wong Jackman, there you go, Rob. Yeah, Wong Jackman. In 1965, Lee changed his approach towards martial arts training. Lee felt that many martial artists of his time did not spend enough time on physical conditioning. Lee included all elements of total fitness, muscular strength, muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance, and flexibility. He used traditional bodybuilding techniques to build some muscle mass, though not overdone, as that could decrease speed or flexibility. At the same time, with respect to balance, remember what Miyagi said, balance. Yes. Lee maintained that mental and spiritual preparation are fundamental to the success of physical training and martial arts skills. And Teo Jeet Kune Do, he wrote, training is one of the most neglected phases of athletics. Too much time is given to the development of skill and too little to the development of the individual for participation. JKD ultimately is not a matter of petty techniques, but of highly developed spirituality and physique. According to Linda Lee Cadwell, soon after he moved to the United States, Lee started to take nutrition seriously and developed an interest in health foods, high protein drinks, and vitamin and mineral supplements. He later concluded that achieving a high-performance body was akin to maintaining the engine of a high-performance automobile. Allegorically, as one could not keep a car running on low-octane fuels, one could not sustain one's body with a steady diet of junk food, and with, quote, the wrong fuel, one's body would perform sluggishly or sloppily. Lee also avoided baked goods and refined flour, describing them as providing empty calories that did nothing for the body. He was known for being a fan of Asian cuisine for its variety and often ate meals with a combination of vegetables, rice, and fish. Lee had a dislike for dairy products and a result used powdered milk in his diet. Dan Inosanto recalls Lee practiced meditation as the first action on his schedule. While best known as a martial artist, Lee also studied drama and Asian and Western philosophy, starting while a student at the University of Washington. He was well-read, had an extensive library dominated by martial arts subjects and philosophical texts. His eclectic philosophy often mirrored his fighting beliefs, though he was quick to claim that his martial arts were solely a metaphor for such teachings. He believed that any knowledge ultimately led to self-knowledge, and said that his chosen method of self-expression was martial arts. His influence include Taoism, Jiddu Krishnamurti, and Buddhism. Lee's philosophy was very much in opposition to the conservative worldview advocated by Confucianism. John Little states that Lee was an atheist. When asked in 1972 about his religious affiliation, he replied, "None whatsoever." And when asked if he believed in God, he said, "To be perfectly frank, I really do not." Aside from martial arts and philosophy, which focus on the physical aspect and self-consciousness for truths and principles, Lee also wrote poetry that reflected his emotion and stage in his life collectively. Many forms of art remain concordant with the artist creating them. Lee's principle of self-expression was applied to his poetry as well. His daughter Shannon Lee said, "He did write poetry. He was really the consummate artist. His poetic works were originally handwritten on paper, then later on edited and published, with John Little being the major author or editor for Bruce Lee's works. Lee Cadwell shared her husband's notes, poems, and experiences with followers. She mentioned, quote, Lee's poems are, by American standards, rather dark, reflecting the deeper, less exposed recesses of the human psyche. Most of Bruce Lee's poems are categorized as anti-poetry or fall into a paradox. The mood in his poems shows the side of the man that they can be compared with other poets such as Robert Frost of all people, one of many well-known poets expressing himself with dark poetic works. The paradox taken from the yin and yang symbol in martial arts was also integrated into his poetry. His martial arts and philosophy contribute a great part to his poetry. The free verse form of Lee's poetry reflects his famous quote, be formless, shapeless, like water. And so 1 hour and 6 minutes in, we have another epic fight scene right here where these fight scenes are great. They're just amazing. And everybody has the balls to go up to Bruce Lee. It's amazing. That made him run. Like, oh shit, look what he did to the lamp. Ah, that finally made him run. That finally made him run. This guy is too much, man. Bruce Lee is maintaining his composure in front of this clown so well. Bruce Lee was probably just a natural comedian, man. I'm serious. Oh. Lay off. Several of the characters do that, and it's glorious. It's just glorious. Do you have the message or not, buddy? Leave him the fuck alone. See, look at all the bodies. I love it. I love. Oh, time to make a reservation for four. He just gives him a cigar, like it's like this guy is Orson Welles or something. Yeah, appropriately pissed. So, okay, so there are, I mean, I honestly had a difficult time recognizing the actors, but the other actors in the movie. But just to go through them real quick, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each of them, but hmm, in the role of Ho, that is Paul Wei Pingao, born in 1929, died in 1989. Hong Kong-based Chinese star who started his career in the Shaw Brothers studio. Best known for playing cunning interpreters in Fist of Fury and Way of the Dragon, in which he dubbed his own voice and appeared in films such as Deaf Mute Heroine, Hapkido, and Fist of Bruce Lee. Suffered from jaundice in his later years. Oh, died on December 3rd, 1989 in British Hong Kong. And I think, yeah, I think the clown, this guy right here, is yeah, Paul Wei, yeah. Hong Sing. Oh no, Huang Sung Sing. Okay, I got that. I got that. See, he plays Uncle Wang. Okay, so yeah, he plays the Uncle Wang, Wang Chung Sin, and see another Hong Kong Chinese actor. Also was in Fist of Fury, and he actually married Lisa Chow Chow. Acted with fighting instructor Han Yang Che in Fist of Fury. Also acted in 70 other movies, many of them about martial arts. Died at the age of 56 on October 28th, 1976. While riding his motorbike in Taiwan, he got into a second car accident, died from his injuries at the age of 56. Let's see. In the role of Tony, we have Tony Liu. Just real quick, for some weird reason, at one point when I watched this movie, I thought of West Side Story. Very, very random. Why I thought of West Side Story, I don't know. But yeah, there's an actor named Tony Liu in it. Joined the Hong Kong film production company Golden Harvest in 1970 at the age of 18. He made his debut as the son of the villain in the 1971 film The Big Boss. Starred Bruce Lee in his first major role. Appeared in another 3 of Bruce Lee's films. Fist of Fury, as a martial arts student in Fist of Fury, as a restaurant worker who practices karate in Way of the Dragon, and as a tournament fighter in Enter the Dragon. 2-time nominee at the Golden Horse Awards for A Man of Immortality in 1981, and, Revenge, a Love Story in 2010. How are you doing, Jay? Lovely to see you tonight. Just to let you know, we are watching The Way of the Dragon, written and directed by Bruce Lee and starring Bruce Lee. We just passed the 1 hour and 11-minute mark, if you want to join in. And I'm loving this movie. I mean, this is like my 3rd time watching it today. And I adore this movie. I might, in fact, very well put this among my top 11 films of 1972. I think I'm probably going to do it. Because this movie is just a blast. Excuse me. Total blast from beginning to end. Total blast. I love all the decorations. And I like how he almost lines everybody up. Not in a straight line, but he lines all the actors up so we can see all their faces. And they're just all kind of not standing right next to each other, but very close to each other. It's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. I'm sure he would be happy to go. I can see business getting better already. But Yeah, actually, Jay, you're coming up. We're getting very, very close to our special guest star. As a matter of fact, here he is making his first appearance. Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Chuck Norris. In his prime, 1972, his very first movie. We just see him walk off the plane in sunglasses. He walks out of the airport as his crotch comes directly into the camera. Yes, that's how you make a fucking introduction. That's how you do it, man. Chuck fucking Norris. All right, well, okay, so let's just go ahead and start talking about Chuck. I mean, we have to start talking about Chuck. Here's the thing about Chuck Norris. I know exactly what Chuck Norris is famous for, and I know that he is a brilliant martial artist like Bruce Lee. And I know that, Bruce Lee obviously wanted to get the best martial artists for this movie, and he arguably did. I mean, there's some other champions spread throughout the film that hopefully I'll get to in a minute. But look, Chuck Norris, my father could not stand the guy. He said that every time he saw him on a screen, that he would literally get sick to his stomach. Now, look, I can't explain why my father had such a hatred for Chuck Norris. I mean, looking back on it, it seems absolutely ridiculous. I have no idea what the fuck my father had against Chuck. I have no idea. See, this is just badass. It's totally badass. And I love his shirt. That is great. Like, yes, I'm an American. Look at my American red, white, and blue shirt. I love Chuck is awesome. Yes. Yeah. Chuck just decks him in the face. Dude, you're not going to win against Chuck. Forget it. That's great. But Bruce Lee knew exactly how to present Chuck in this movie. He knew exactly what he was going to do. Okay, when we first see you, you're going to be coming off the plane, and we're going to put the camera at your crotch level so that when you walk out of the airport, your crotch will go directly into the camera. And then you're going to kick some bad guy ass over at their lair. So my father hated Chuck. I can't explain that. I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. My mother, on the other hand, loved Chuck because she was a massive fan of Walker, Texas Ranger. But she also watched Dr. Quinn Medicine Babe. So I mean, look, not my shows. Just not my shows. I respect anybody that watches them and likes them. Not my shows. But yeah, my father hated Chuck. My mother loved Chuck. Now, I remember when I went to go see this 1993 movie called Sidekicks. Sidekicks had the kid from Sequest DSV and Ladybugs, known as Jonathan Brandis, who also died very, very young. And Chuck Norris. It's basically a Karate Kid knockoff, but I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, it's just basically a standard Karate Kid knockoff where Chuck Norris actually helps Jonathan Brandis for a karate tournament, and his gym teacher is played by the bald guy from Night Court, Richard Mall, who was actually very funny in the movie. That was pretty much my introduction to Chuck Norris. And like I said, I really had no idea who the guy was. I mean, the movie, of course, treated him like a martial arts legend, as he was, but I honestly just had no idea who he was. No idea whatsoever. Okay, so he is a black belt in Tang Soo Do, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and Judo. After serving in the United States Air Force, Norris won many martial arts championships and later founded his own discipline, Chun Kuk Do. Shortly after, in Hollywood, Norris trained celebrities in martial arts, went on to appear in a minor role in the spy film The Wedding Crew, And I think what they mean by minor role is that he doesn't, he's just basically in the background. But friend and fellow martial artist Bruce Lee invited him to play one of the main villains in Way of the Dragon. While Norris continued acting, friend and student Steve McQueen suggested him to take it seriously. Norris took the starring role in the action film Breaker Breaker, which turned a profit. His second lead, Good Guys Wear Black, became a hit, and he soon became a very popular action film star. But I have to say this, because I don't like those canon movies. I don't like Invasion USA, or I've never seen the Missing in Action movies, but like he was paid millions to make these action movies for canon films. And I mean, granted, I mean, there was some mild praise for the first Missing in Action, but critics just trashed those films. I mean, he also made another one with Louis Gossett Jr. called Firewalker, which is probably the worst of the bunch. Maybe the best of the bunch being the Delta Force. I mean, maybe. But see, he actually made some really decent action movies. I remember when I saw The Octagon from 1980 and Code of Silence, which was actually from the fugitive director Andrew Davis. Those are very solid action movies, and they probably showcase what is probably Chuck's best acting. But he's never been considered like a great actor. I mean, like Jean-Claude Van Damme and all those guys, none of these action stars are considered thespians. They don't go so far as like Sylvester Stallone does at the end of First Blood, where he actually breaks down and delivers this powerful monologue, despite every bit of action that we saw before. We never would have expected that. And Stallone was fucking great, man. He was so fucking good. But when it comes to Chuck Norris, I mean, okay, The Octagon, An Eye for an Eye, Forced Vengeance, 1982. There's another one, another good one, Lone Wolf McQuade. Lone Wolf McQuade is also a pretty good Chuck movie. But after Firewalker, let's just say that a lot of what he made was crap. Look, seriously, I legitimately gave Chuck the benefit of the doubt. He made a lot of pretty good action films early in his career, but then we got Delta Force 2, the Colombian collection, Top Dog, Hellbound, and his last film, believe it or not, his last film was The Expendables 2, and his sequence was arguably the finest of the whole movie. I mean, he comes out and he tells the story of, Sly tells him, I thought you died from that cobra, or whatever. It's like, yeah, 5 days ago, the cobra bit me, and then 5 days later, the cobra died. Yeah, I know I screwed that up, but, and then they hug, and it's just like, look, Chuck, I love you, man. And Chuck is like, I love you, Sly. They obviously had a great amount of affection and appreciation for each other, despite the fact I don't believe they've ever acted in a movie together. So Stallone, that's the thing. Stallone and Chuck, they love each other. There's a real bromance there, I believe. So, look, I'm not crazy about a lot of Chuck Norris movies, but he made some really good action films. I mean, he definitely did. Like I said, I think if I was going to choose three of them, it would be The Octagon, Lone Wolf McQuade, and Code of Silence. I don't need any of the canon movies. Yes, I know they have their fans, but they're just not my cup of action tea. They're just not. But Chuck Norris still made good movies. And you know what? I would be even willing to throw Sidekicks in there. I mean, if you've had your fix with Cobra Kai, go back and check out Sidekicks, because it's really not a bad movie. It just, it was obviously molded after the Karate Kid. It was just too obvious. Even as a kid, I knew, wait a minute, this is just the Karate Kid. I mean, it's just another version of the Karate Kid. I've already seen this 3 times already. So, but yeah, I mean, and Delta Force. Yeah, if you're going to watch any of the canon Chuck movies, make it the Delta Force, because the Delta Force is for those canon films, it's not too bad. The funny thing is, and just real quick, I know I'm on a canon tangent here, but honestly, my favorite canon movies are The Last American Virgin, Runaway Train with John Voight and Eric Roberts, King Solomon's Mines with Richard Chamberlain and Sharon Stone, and Street Smart with Christopher Reeve. Now, the thing is, I've probably seen Superman 4 more than any other canon movie, which I know is sad. Chuck Norris is doing the Joaquin Phoenix thing because they're in the Coliseum. Bruce is like, just get your ass down here. Just get your ass down here. Don't give me that thumb shit. But this is actually a fairly suspenseful sequence where, so basically it's showdown at the Coliseum with Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris. And it's awesome. And I love how it ends. I love how this, when this climax reaches the peak, I love what Bruce Lee does at the end. I absolutely love it. No dialogue. You don't need any dialogue here. It's just, surprisingly good acting by both Bruce Lee and Chuck. Absolutely. Although I do prefer Lee as a director. As a fight, his fighting and his directing, I do prefer more than his actual performance. But he's still a delight to watch. Still a delight. So we're about to, there he is. Yeah, come through the fence. Come after me. I dare you. See, Chuck is like standing so still. He's like a statue almost. Now, okay, I love the fact that Bruce Lee puts a kitten in the climax. It's almost like it's almost like an animal observer to this epic fight because nobody's going to see this fight. Nobody knows that this is going on inside the Coliseum except this little kitten. I don't know. There's just something adorable about that. It really is. I mean, oh man, if Bruce Lee had made more films after this, actually directing and writing and doing the whole shebang, oh man. I mean, considering the fact he was a poet, I mean, that's the thing. Imagine what he could have written and directed, but yeah, died so young. But Chuck is still with us. Chuck is 85 years old and, bless the man's heart. I mean, he carved out a very successful career for himself. And, here again, my father may not have been a fan and my mother may have wanted to fuck him. But the truth of the matter is I have nothing but respect for the guy. And anybody who's willing to showcase that much hair on his chest, that is awesome. I love it. Okay. I want to know the cracking of the knuckles, the cracking of the bones when Bruce Lee is like flexing. Are those sound effects or are those real? I mean, seriously, anybody out in the chat right now, just tell me, do you think those cracks are real? Like right now, like with Bruce Lee with his flexing and everything, are those cracks real or were they just thrown onto the soundtrack? I would really love to know. And see, that's the thing. The kitten is just basically the only audience. It's amazing. And I like how they do this warm-up session beforehand. They obviously, look, even though they're going to fight, and it's inevitable that they're going to fight, they still respect, they still understand that they got different approaches to martial arts. And that's the thing, is that they at least, even though they're quote-unquote enemies, they still have enough respect to let the opponent actually warm up, actually prepare very comfortably. Like, hey, I'm ready when you're ready. Like that kind of attitude. And there's something about that I just love between these guys. Look at that hair. Like, yeah. But Chuck's like, don't be making fun of my hair, motherfucker. It's like, look at Chuck's face. It's epic. It is just epic. Let's go over here. Let's go over here. I love this. No dialogue We don't need a single word of fucking dialogue. And here again, the kitten is just watching. It's brilliant. It's a masterpiece. I love it. Ready when you are, man. Let's do it. Let's do it. Distinguished by, just black and white pants. Bruce Lee is going for black. Chuck is going for white. And here we have a very much so an epic fight scene in a glorious setting with one solitary, cuddly audience member. Genius. Yeah. Yeah, you haven't met me before, have you? Don't pull Chuck's hair. Don't pull the hair. It didn't blow off his hand. Damn it. You don't pull Chuck's hair, man. Don't do that. Nah. Tell you what, man. I won't touch your hair if you don't touch mine. And don't bite my ear off either. All right. A little bit more of a warm up. Chuck. Whatever, man. I'm enjoying this way too much. Aw. The kitten. The kitten's stealing the movie. It's ultimately going to be the kitten. Ooh. Oh, this glorious martial arts work right here. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of slow motion, but like I said, this is like slower motion. It's not completely slow, I think. I think this is basically half speed. I'm not a tech expert. Sorry. Now, admittedly, that looks like just a background for the Colosseum, but I could be wrong. Yeah, this could have easily been a set with just a portrait of the Colosseum in the background. But hey, I mean, it works. Not going to question it. MLB fan 22 or 122, excuse me. Love this flick. Lee's best, in my opinion. Oh, over Enter the Dragon? Oh, wow. I say exaggerated sounds of bones cracking. Yeah, see, I wasn't 100% certain about that. I mean, like, are those real or exaggerated? I couldn't tell. But see, hey, that's a testament to the sound personnel, on Way of the Dragon, But I really wasn't sure. I thought that must be exaggerated. But look, it's Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. Who knows? Yeah, seriously. Oh, Chucky's starting to get a little blood here. Oh, and speaking of Chucky and blood, second season of Chucky is going to be next week. I'm one of the biggest Child's Play fans. I can't wait. Yeah, I know. I shouldn't be talking about Chucky the Killer Doll. Yeah. I mean, look, even the hair, even the body hair on Chuck is very distinctive, and it really distinguishes himself from Bruce Lee. I'll do some jumping. Yeah. Well, let's jump. Let's jump. I know. I'm not mocking them. I'm just, Admittedly, I got kind of the MST3K mindset, though, at the moment. No, but seriously, it's great. I do love Way of the Dragon. It's great. Some more dancing. Yeah. Bruce Lee loves to dance. Okay, I mean, can you imagine him on the dance floor? I mean, just seriously. I mean, obviously, Linda Lee Cadwell was obviously swept off her feet by this guy. So it's oh, Chucky, come on. Oh. taking some. Oh, yeah, that's so. Yeah, Bruce Lee just fucked up his hand and gave him a good kick in the leg, impairing them both. Now, see, I honestly thought that Chuck was going to raise the white flag. I really thought he was going to make some kind of, surrender at this point, because seriously, he can't even move his hand or his leg at this point. He knows he's done. He knows he's done. You might as well just, go back to America and heal yourself, get laid, just, don't, it's not worth it, dude. It's not worth it. But yet he's still trying to. What are you going to do? Bleed on me? Oh, no. Poor Chuck. Yeah, I know. He's the villain. I'm feeling bad for the guy. But no, seriously, if I was in his position, I'd be like, surrender, dude. I'm just going to jump on a plane and go home. And the kitten is obviously wondering. I love the Bruce and his zoom. He loves the zoom, man. He's look what I can do. Zoom. The cat's on his paws. Come on. Let's end this. Oh. Yeah, see, I like this like moment of like kind of regret over killing this guy. And like I said, I interpreted this as, he thought he was a great challenger. He was a great challenger. He has massive respect for him. And it's like, he probably didn't want to kill him, but it's like, when you're in a match that's going to lead to whoever dies first. I mean, what are you going to do? He killed because or else he could have been killed. It was a death match, and I hear again this wonderful final gesture, wonderful final gesture of respect. He picks up his black belt and his I don't know the name of the karate shirt, but yeah, or robe, and covers his face and puts the black belt on top. And then he moves the camera for a close-up. Oh, this is great. This is genuinely great stuff. Like I said, Bruce Lee's only a full film as a director. Who knows what we could have gotten? Now that's the Coliseum. Okay, now that is absolutely without a doubt the Coliseum. Where they were fighting, it may have been a set. Oh yeah, we need to get this guy. We need to. Oh my God, we're all finished. Yes, you are finished. All right. We got 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left in Way of the Dragon. We are at the 1 hour, 35 minute, and 40-second mark as we conclude this. Just as a reminder, Saturday night, at 9 p.m., I will be doing a double audio commentary for director Charles B. Pierce. His two films, The Legend of Boggy Creek, which is a very successful independent horror film from 1972 about a Bigfoot-like creature. And then immediately afterward at 10:30 p.m., we will be doing The Town That Dreaded Sundown, based on a true story of a series of murders that happened in this Texas town in the 1940s. And that movie is also directed by Charles B. Pierce. So we will be doing that tonight, 9 p.m. for Legend of Boggy Creek, and 10:30 p.m. for The Town That Dreaded Sundown. The 1976 version, obviously. But I will watch the 2014 version beforehand today as well, because I've heard actually good things about it. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm just not going to check out the other Boggy Creek films. I'm just going to do the one Boggy Creek movie, just the one. Look at all those bodies on the ground. So, I'm thinking thinking of that moment in A Christmas Story where he bags all the burglars in the backyard, and then they're just like have X's on their eyes and everything, and you hear that noise, like ooh. It made me think of that. See, that's the thing. No romance, no kiss. I like that. We didn't need a romance to get in the way. I mean, of what, sure, you want to call the plot a little weak, in terms, look, we've seen the crime syndicate stuff 1,000 times. Look, Bruce Lee was a unique superstar. He was very, very unique. And this film is an ideal showcase for him. And like I said, it's just great fun to watch. I mean, it's just, honestly, this is going to go on my best list of 72. It definitely is going to. In this world of guns and knives, wherever Tang Lung may go to, he will always travel on his own. She's like, oh, he's a drifter. And that is Bruce Lee's The Way of the Dragon. And here is our cast right here. Colt Chuck Norris. His very first movie, well, his first big movie. Third in the credit. And here again, not a line of dialogue. Not a line of dialogue. Japanese fighter Wang Ing 6. All right. So yeah, that is that's Way of the Dragon. I don't think I have anything else to why couldn't Bruce walk away? The guy had a broken hand and leg. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like that moment of regret, you almost would have thought that, like, do I really want to kill this guy? He's not going to do anything at this point. Just, because he practically crippled him. He practically crippled him. Yeah, he could have walked away. I guess he could have walked away, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe because he had that moment of regret afterward, it, solidified his, just a little bit of guilt because he was crippled at that point. It's like, do you have to finish him off? Really? But whatever, but that's Way of the Dragon, ladies and gentlemen. A wonderful, wonderful movie. Glad you could all join me tonight. Looking forward to 9 p.m. tonight, Eastern time for Legend of Boggy Creek, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Thank you all for joining me tonight, and you all have a good day.